Yo, what's good, y'all? Welcome back to what is hopefully the only Darryl guide you will ever need. People have been asking for this for a while, so here it is. I hope you guys enjoy it. Like and comment if you want me to make guides on different brawlers. But yeah, no more wasted time. Let's hop right into the video. By the way, I'll leave timestamps in the pinned comment. If you guys ever want to come back and jump around, feel free. Alright, let's get it. So I've broken this video up into 4 parts. The first part is going to be your role and general game plan with Darryl. The second part is going to be gameplay interactions and how to best utilize them in game. The third part is going to be your best and worst matchups. And the fourth part is going to be the best game modes for Darryl and how to play them. So Darryl's role is going to be a pretty aggro tank type of brawler. He's almost pretty much an assassin when he gets his super. He doesn't have as much HP as like a Frank or a Primo or a Jackie, so you can't really bully your way up the map as much as you could with those brawlers. But as with all short-range brawlers, you're going to use walls to move up the map and try to get into a position where it puts pressure on your opponents. For the most part, you are going to want to play for your super. Darryl does charge his super passively over 30 seconds. But depending on your matchup, you need to decide whether you want to stay behind walls at the beginning and kind of, passively charge it, or if you want to get a little more aggressive and go try to charge it yourself. I'll talk more about which matchups you're going to want to do what against more in the matchup section. Against pretty much every matchup though, chip shots are going to be your best friend. The more chip shots you can hit, the faster you're going to charge your super, and the faster you're actually going to be an asset to your team, because you're going to be having that pressure of having a roll, or you're actually going to roll in and get a kill. Once you have your super, you should be trying to single out brawlers to get a quick kill, and give your team a more aggressive stance on the map, having that one-man numbers advantage. I would try to avoid rolling into a full team of 3, because 9 out of 10 times you're just going to get melted. There are exceptions to that, where if you know the matchups well enough that you can make some crazy plays, but until you feel extremely good with Darryl, for the most part, I would say try to find brawlers who are out of position on the map or who are just alone, and try to roll in, get a quick kill on them, and start looking toward the next kill. Darryl absolutely thrives in the 1v1 matchups when he has his role. And moving on into the next section, we have gameplay interactions. So Darryl bursts out 2 shots of 1800 damage at max level, which is some of the highest burst damage in the game, and it's very important to remember that because you need to know how to utilize all of his damage. One common mistake a lot of people will make is kind of playing Darryl's shot similar to a Bull shot, because Bull can burst out the damage immediately, but Darryl's shot, because it's over the span of 2 bursts, you need to be standing on top of, walking toward, or strafing with your opponent or target to be able to deal out the maximum damage. So I'll show that right here on screen, where if I'm standing on top of the bot, or even walking at them, you can see that I'm going to be dealing 3600, the 2 1800 shots. But if I'm strafing away from them or moving like back, then my second shot isn't going to deal as much damage as the first. And this mechanic really ties into something very important about Darryl's super, his knockback, or I refer to it as a bop. You'll hear me say that a lot because I don't know why, it's just what it is to me now. But when you hit someone with Darryl's super, it bops them in the air for a short amount of time, making them vulnerable to a lot of damage. So after the roll, if you're able to bop them in the air at the end of the roll, you're able to kind of just stand on them or walk toward them and just deal your full amount of damage. If after the roll, if you hit them in the air, then strafe away, you're not going to deal as much damage. So that's just something really important to remember, is that you can really just stand there after the roll. After your first shot, I wouldn't stand there too much longer than that, but after your first shot, you can just stand there and deal like the maximum amount of damage because they're unable to move. The hardest part about this tactic is you have to hit them at the end of the roll. If you hit them somewhere in the middle of your roll, it's very likely that they'll be able to move again before you're able to actually get your shots off. So just something to remember is that you want to try to hit them at the end of your roll. I realized after recording that the stuff I'm about to show you is a little bit more advanced if you're a newer Darryl player, so don't be discouraged if you can't get this stuff right away. Just work on mastering the stuff I just showed you, and then start working on mastering these as well. So the first thing I want to talk about is bank rolls, which is when you use your super to just bank off a wall. The first point to using a bank roll is similar to like a Rico shot, where if you don't have direct line of sight on somebody, then you can use a bank roll off a wall to get as close to them as possible. The second point is that if someone is standing very close to you and you want to shorten your roll a bit, you can bank off a wall behind you to shorten up your roll to make sure you bop them at the end of the roll. And the last interaction I want to talk about is definitely the most complicated because it implements pretty much everything I've said so far, and it's double bops. So you're going to utilize a bank roll by using the first bop of your super before you hit the wall. That will knock them into the second bop of your super when you're coming back off the wall. Technically, there is another way to do a double bop. If you're standing close enough to them where you'll hit them on the way through, and then right before your roll stops, you'll hit them again. And the animation will cause a double bop, but I don't think it's consistent enough to really try in-game. It's just, when it does happen in-game, it can get you a lot of damage. So this is going to be my little build subsection in this interactions category, where I'm going to talk about my gadgets and the star powers, and then afterwards I'm going to go over which ones I like to run and why. So the first gadget I want to talk about is the tar barrel gadget, where Darryl creates a radius around him where enemy brawlers are slowed. And I think people have slept on this one for a long time. I don't know if everyone still runs it. Personally, I love this gadget. It effectively will increase the radius of your roll. So if you activate it before your roll, then if you're not able to get a knockback on somebody, it prevents them from being able to run away or juke the rest of your shots. So you can still get the maximum damage after the roll. His other gadget, Recoiling Rotator, also has a fair amount of uses though. So Recoiling Rotator will send out, I think like 15 shots, where each one of them, if you can hit on a brawler, is 25% of your super. So you can use it near the beginning of a match. If someone walks into your range, you can try to charge your super off it. Or the more fun version that I like to do is you roll in on people and then activate the gadget. And since everybody's up close to you, you're bound to hit a lot of those shots, so you can get another roll and then start trying to chain rolls together to minimize your damage and deal a ton of damage to the opponents. Another use for this gadget is what you will hear people refer to as a 6K, either on a high safe or on a siege Ike if you're feeling really dangerous. If you activate the gadget in the right way, then you can hit every single shot on the safe or the Ike and deal 6,000 damage. And of course, I will show you how to do that. So how it works is Darryl's Recoiling Rotator starts on the bottom right side of his character, and it sprays out shots clockwise. So for you to hit every single shot, you need to start your character on the top left, and then rotate clockwise with it, so every single shot will keep shooting out where the safe is. It definitely takes a bit to get used to, so what I recommend is go into a friendly heist game, turn bots off, and then just keep going up, practicing this, and then exiting the game. You'll get the hang of it much quicker if you're doing it over and over, and that extra 6,000 damage will definitely help you in real games. And moving on to the star powers, the first star power we have is Steel Hoops, which gives you that slight extra shield after you roll. And in my opinion, this star power is going to be the way to go most of the time if you're taking the game like really seriously. Just having that extra shield after the roll can help you stay in fights longer. And after an interaction, you might have a lot more HP, which can help you get into another fight even faster. The other star power is Rolling Reload, which increases your reload speed after you roll for, I think, 5 seconds. And this is nothing to be messed around with, for sure. I think this one is a little bit higher skill cap because you need to know which interactions you're going to roll in and not need a shield for. Like, you really need to know how much HP you're going to lose going into rolls and everything. This one is definitely a lot of fun to use. You can add a ton of pressure to the enemy team if you're consistent with all these rolls. because you're going to get it a lot in the games. You can keep hitting chip shots after you roll, and overall, I think both are very good star powers. People make the argument that rolling reload might be better in Heist. Honestly, it can be. When I play it in Heist, I personally don't see the value of it, because for the most part, when you roll on a save, like, you're not going to get more than like 2 or 3 shots without somebody trying to defend you, so you're either going to die or get forced off the safe after about 2 or 3 shots. Personally, I would just rather have the shield in the games because I want to get more kills to move my team up the map than I want to try to take as many shots as possible on the safe, because it's just, it never really comes down to a base race. Like, you're going to get a lot of damage regardless because you're a Darryl. I just personally like the shield one more. It just seems more efficient. Please don't get me wrong though, rolling reload is still a pretty good star power if you know how to use it. Feel free to mess around with the builds as much as you want, because personally, I think they're all incredibly good. The best build, in my opinion, that's going to be the most versatile is Steel Hoops with Tar Barrel, just because in every game mode, those 2 star powers will help you get kills. Majority of the time, I just think that's going to be the most efficient way to play Darryl. There are exceptions, I'm just saying in general, I think that one is the best build. The most fun build, however, is going to be, for me, rolling reload and recoiling rotator. Just the sheer amount of rolls you can get if you know how to play them well. You can roll in, use your gadget, take a shot, roll again, take more shots because your reload speed is just increased. You can chain so many rolls with this build, and I think it's just a ton of fun to play. Again, every build is going to be good on them. Just mess around, have fun with it, and do what feels best to you. As for the gears for Darryl, I think any combination of speed, damage, and shield gears are going to be insanely good depending on the map. Obviously, just never use the health gear on really anybody. Just stay away from it. The resistance gear, I think, might be okay on Darryl. I haven't played enough games on it. I've just been kind of experimenting with it. But it does help him with a lot of his matchups, so I think it's okay to mess around with right now. I don't have enough on it to really say if it's going to be incredibly good or just terrible. But I think that if resistance gear gets any sort of buff in the near future, I think it could definitely be absolutely meta on Darryl. So moving on into our third part, we're going to talk about matchups. Darryl as a whole is pretty good right now. He just recently got a buff that made his old Steel Hoops, where he got the shield during his roll, they made that his passive, so he's pretty much good at every level now. Before, he was almost useless below power 10 just because he would just take so much damage on that roll, but now he's just an absolute unit. He can pretty much roll in on anybody in a 1v1 and at least have a good shot at beating them. Of course, that doesn't mean every matchup, so here's some matchups to watch out for. First, we're going to have Shelly. Shelly, obviously, Darryl's a tank, and Shelly is a Shelly, so Shelly supers are going to just blow you back after you're done with your roll. Like, you're going to just get absolutely melted. Stu, another matchup that is almost impossible to win. Stu is just going to shoot at you while you roll, and then he'll just dash away from you before you're able to get any shots off. Sometimes you can hit some sneaky rolls on him if he doesn't have super, but for the most part, I'd say stay away from Stu. Another bad matchup is going to be Tara. Tara does have her pets when you roll in, so sometimes your auto aim is going to go to the pets. They're going to tank for her and everything, so Tara is not a great matchup. She does also have her pull, which if you don't hit your knockback on the roll, then she's just going to pull you and kill you. And if you don't get the kill on Tara before she gets some shots off, then she is just going to charge her super and make the rest of the game harder for your whole team. So Tara's another one I would generally stay away from unless you can, again, get a sneaky roll. We're also going to have Surge in here. Surge is going to get his super in 3 shots on you. So if he is close to super, or if he has super, once you roll in on him, he's just going to jump. And then he also has his gadget to teleport away from you. And it's just not a fun time for a Darryl. He's not vulnerable enough to be able to get his gadget or his super off before you're able to kill him. So Surge is another one I would avoid. Another very annoying one is going to be Gale. Gale is going to have his tornado gadget. I don't even know the name of that one, but the one that just drops a tornado, making it so you can't walk through it. If you roll on a Gale, he's either going to have that gadget or his super to just blow you away. And if he has the stun on his star power, then the stun is just going to make it so he's going to just chain supers against you. It's not going to be a fun time. Gale, another one I would avoid. The absolute best matchup you can get with Darryl is a Frank. Darryl can absolutely bully a Frank the entire game. Once you get your first super, almost no matter what, I mean, he might have the gadget that stops him from getting stunned, but really you can roll through him and he can't hit any of his shots. Otherwise, you're just going to knock him back, hit like 3 shots on him, and then just roll to the next person because, like, Frank just isn't going to hit you for much damage up close. So, if you see a Frank, always be looking for opportunities to roll on him. For matchups against most tanks, you're going to have to chip shot them from your max range. A lot of tanks like Bull, you're going to lose if you're in a close matchup with them, like Bull and Jackie. Like, you don't really want to get too close to them until you have an HP advantage. So you want to hit them for chip shots to get them a little bit lower on HP, and then either roll into them or just get a little closer to deal your final blows. Besides all the brawlers that counter Darryl that I just mentioned, for the most part, any mid-health to low-health brawler, you're just going to be able to roll on and immediately wipe off the map. So yeah, Darryl, just an absolute beast in most matchups. Just try to hit your rolls the best you can, and just avoid charging supers that are going to hinder you in the future. And moving on into the final section, we're going to talk about Darryl's best modes. Honestly, Darryl is just like so much of a monster right now. He can pretty much be used in every single game mode. His best game mode is going to be probably Heist. It's going to be the most easy mode to pick up with Darryl, because your main goal is to get to the safe and deal as much damage as possible. A common mistake people think with Darryl is that in Heist, you need to save your roll to roll onto the Heist safe. That is 100% not the case. Please, in almost every mode, don't save your roll. That is like one of the most common mistakes I see. You charge your roll so fast that if you can use your roll to get a kill, it's almost always worth it. Obviously, you don't want to just be rolling at whatever all the time, but if you see an opportunity that you think a roll might be useful, just use it. But yeah, for Heist, if you can use your roll to get a kill, that's going to pressure the enemy team to move them all the way back, and then you'll charge another roll while they're respawning and backing up, and then you can use that roll to get on the safe. For his next best mode, we're going to have Brawl Ball. He's an absolute unit in Brawl Ball. Everybody is just trembling in fear when they see a Darryl with the ball and he has roll, mainly because of the trick you can do where you can just dribble the ball with him. So to dribble the ball with Darryl, you're just going to throw the ball and then roll in the direction that you threw it in. It really is beneficial with Darryl because he can kind of move people out of the way if people are at the end of the roll. And I see people not utilize that enough. So if there's someone at the end of your roll, then if you throw the ball at them and then roll, they might try to pick up the ball, but you're going to knock them out of the way and then pick up the ball yourself. And while they're vulnerable in the air, you can kind of just walk past them and then throw the ball in the net. But yeah, your general game plan with Darryl and Brawl Ball is to be a very aggressive scorer. Obviously, it's the same as Heist. Like, don't be too fed up on the fact that you need to be scoring the ball. If you have an opportunity to roll and kill somebody, do that and look for a goal when you can. Always be looking for your opportunities to score, but also just be aware that getting a kill will help push your team up the map. Siege is probably going to be the third best game mode for him just because he's a tank. He has the ability to pick up the bolts. He can roll in on the Ike when you have a bot, and he can just deal so much damage to the Ike. He's really good on defense because he can just pump out damage on the bot. And overall, like, he's just a really good brawler in 1v1 situations. So yeah, really no downside to running Darryl in Siege either. I would say like Gem Grab and Hot Zone are probably the next best for him. And the game plan's going to be pretty much the same in both of them. You just want to be an aggressive menace to their team. So you want to try to get your roll, get a kill, and then get into position somewhere that forces them to have to pay attention to you. Obviously, there are plays you can make in both modes, like gem grab. If you want to target the gem carrier when he has a lot of gems and then get out with your roll, like, that's a perfectly good, reasonable play to make, obviously. But for the most part, in both modes, your roll is going to be get into that aggro position and just cause havoc. Alright, so that is all I have for you guys for today. I hope I didn't miss anything. I tried to give as much information as possible in this. Of course, if you guys have literally any questions about it, just drop a comment. I'll see it, try to respond to as many as possible. Again, if you guys want to see more Brawler guides in the future, I don't know if I'll go as in-depth as this one, but Darryl is a favorite of mine, so I wanted to do him justice. But I appreciate all you guys that watched, and I hope you have a good rest of your day. Peace out, y'all.